Huskies fans, welcome into another postseason episode of Husky Faceoff, powered by the St. Cloud State Alumni Association. We are on the doorstep of St. Cloud State's opening NCAA tournament matchup against the Terriers from Boston University. Hi everybody, I'm Sam Getzinger. We have a lot of information to pass along your way before the puck hits the ice in Albany, New York, so let's hop right into it. After a solid regular season going 15-9, the Cardinal and Black entered the race for the Frozen Faceoff Championship as the 2 seed and drew 7 seed Colorado College in the first round. The Tigers actually opened the scoring with a wild goal from the red line, and from there, the Huskies had to play catch-up until Zach Okabe got the equalizer late in the period on the power play. The third period was quiet for the opening 60 minutes until Nick Pervik somehow found the back of the net, beating Tiger goaltender Matt Vernon, who was standing on his head, collecting 42 saves over the 3 periods of play. Now that set up a date with a familiar foe, Minnesota Duluth. The semifinals saw a typical St. Cloud Duluth barn burner, with the Huskies holding a 2-1 lead after the first 20 minutes. UMD would tie up the game midway through the second, and then a crazy goal by Chase Brand would go to the review booth, and after much examination from all angles, the wraparound goal would count, and that would be the eventual game winner because David Rennick and the rest of the squad would settle in and park the bus during the third period, sending the back-to-back defending national champions home in the semis of the NCHC tournament with a 3-2 win at the Ralph Engelstad Arena. An old rival would be waiting for them in the 1 seed and host of the playoffs, and that would be North Dakota. St. Cloud jumped out to another hot start with a 2-1 lead after the first 20 minutes of play. Zach Okabe got the game's first goal once again, and Seamus Donahue tallied his first in a Huskies uniform. The second period was a stalemate, and a 2-1 lead would continue on to the third and final period of regulation. The Fighting Hawks came out firing with 3 goals in the span of 2 minutes to make it a 4-2 ball game early in the third. Sam Henches would spark some fire back into the Cardinal and Black with a goal midway through the period, but the stingy defense of the Hawks shut down the Huskies the rest of the way, and an empty netter by Jordan Kawaguchi would seal the deal with a 5-3 final in the championship of the Frozen Faceoff. After going 2-1 in the Frozen Faceoff, the Huskies now sit at a 17-10 overall record going into the NCAA tournament coming up here very soon. The Huskies stay consistent in the top 20 in the country with a 3.2 goals per game average. St. Cloud is also ranked 22nd in the country, putting up 30 shots a game against their opponents. So with one stretch of the postseason play in the books for St. Cloud State, here's some thoughts about this year's unique experience from Grand Forks.
Obviously, anytime you make it to a game where you're 1 goal away from a championship in this league, you've done pretty well. I thought we played very well up in North Dakota. I thought it was some of our best hockey of the year, and to take them to a 1-goal game in their own rink for that championship said a lot about this team and their character.
I mean, we played pretty good. I mean, we won the first couple of games there. I mean, we lost to North Dakota there, but I think we played one of our better games against them. I mean, we had a 5-minute span there where we got off our game a little bit, and that allowed them back into it, and for them to get a little bit of a lead on us. But I mean, if we play a full 60 minutes, how we can play a full 60 minutes, I'll take us over anybody.
We now welcome in from therinklive.com, Mick Hatton, into this edition of Husky Faceoff. Mick, we thank you for taking some time and joining us before the opening round of the NCAA tournament. But before we touch on the NCAA tournament, let's talk about the NCHC postseason that wrapped up not too long ago. What were some of the biggest takeaways that you saw?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is that they found a way to kind of scratch and claw their way through 2 wins, to get to the championship game against Colorado College and UMD. A really tough task to play UMD a 7th time in a season. Bulldogs still the defending 2-time national champs, so they got past them and were able to get to the championship game, and to be honest, I thought they outplayed North Dakota for the majority of the game in the championship. Unfortunately, they came up on the short end, but North Dakota's been our top-ranked team in the country all for a good chunk of the season, and I think that what they're showing there that they've shown that when they show up, they can play with any team in the country, and that's a great sign for them heading into the NCAA tournament.
Let's dive deeper into this first round matchup between St. Cloud and Boston. What should we look out for as we get closer to puck drop here?
Well, I think in talking with people who have seen Boston University a little bit, one of the things that pops out at you is they've got a ton of talent. 13 NHL draft picks. 10 players who have played on the U.S. National Development Program team. So there's some really high-end talent with Boston University. David Ferentz, the senior defenseman, he's a top 10 Hobey Baker finalist for the second straight year. Jay O'Brien, a forward for them, leads them in scoring. He's a Philadelphia Flyers first-round draft pick. Luke Tuch from a Montreal draft pick. He's a second-round pick. And Drew Comiso, the goalie, is a Chicago Blackhawks second-round draft pick. So there are a lot of talented players on this team. There were 3 guys that were originally named to the U.S. The U.S. national team for their camp going into the World Junior Championships. They had some COVID issues and weren't able to go, but they're a team that's extremely dangerous, and they're going to want to try and get up and down the ice, and that's the way St. Cloud State likes to play. They want to play up tempo, and they want to try to play in transition. So we'll see who's able to prevail.
That's Mick Hatton from therinklive.com. Mick, thank you so much for joining us here on Husky Faceoff.
Thanks for having me. I always appreciate it.
Well, the stage is set as we prepare for the opening round of the NCAA Regional Tournament. We'll take our first break here on Husky Faceoff, but when we come back, we will go deeper into this year's matchup with Boston coming up next. Welcome back into this postseason edition of Husky Faceoff, powered by the SCSU Alumni Association. I'm Sam Getzinger, and we continue to get closer and closer to the first game of the NCAA tournament for St. Cloud State, who are awaiting the Terriers from Boston University in Albany, New York. Again, we want to thank the St. Cloud State Alumni Association for their continued support of Husky Faceoff and St. Cloud State men's hockey coverage throughout this postseason. We wouldn't be able to do it without the support of our alumni. And as we continue on with this episode of Husky Faceoff, we welcome on President of St. Cloud State University, Robin Wacker. Now, President Wacker, we thank you for joining us here on the show. What has the reaction been from students and faculty about SCSU's at-large bid into the NCAA tournament?
Well, are we excited or what? What an incredible season. I mean, when you stop and think about it, what the student athletes had to deal with from the very beginning of the season and working their way through a successful season, a great playoff, and now being number 2 seed is just a testament to the resilience and the incredible stamina that our student athletes have, the coaches, everybody involved in helping that team succeed. So we are incredibly excited about the success of this team and really can't wait to cheer them on. And we will have some live events where we will do watch parties at Atwood, also in the community at the Blue Line Bar and Grill. We're going to have a watch party there, and you can count on the rest of us to be somewhere watching the game and cheering our Huskies on. So we are very excited and really proud of what our team did this season and look forward to cheering them on.
Well, of course, the men's hockey program has had to deal with many changes due to COVID-19, as has the rest of the world. But how has the university adapted to the ongoing pandemic?
Yes, it has been quite a year, hasn't it, with the pandemic. So what I want to start by saying is think about the beginning of the season back in August, and the athletes coming to campus and trying to figure out how to stay safe, how to avoid getting the virus, how to lay low and still practice and still engage. And all of our teams, hockey, wrestling, swim and dive, and our other sports have been able to have a successful season. And again, it's because of the commitment that our players and our coaches had, Athletic Director Weems, our students, faculty, everybody, staff has done such a great job adhering to the protocols that you probably have all heard a million times before about, keeping social distance, wearing your mask, washing your hand, all of that. But everybody's done such a great job on that. We also, to support our community, we've had COVID testing here on campus numerous times throughout the year to make that available for everyone. We're also gearing up to help people get vaccinated as people become eligible, and just continue to support each other. It's been a challenging year, but we have a lot to celebrate, and a lot of good things have happened here at St. Cloud State.
And finally, the alumni, they've shown much support for coverage of St. Cloud State hockey, but how much do they mean to the university as a whole?
The alumni are core to the success of this university. We have alumni all over the globe, but we also have 86% of our alumni are right here in Minnesota. And our alumni are incredible fans of our athletic programs, of course our Husky hockey programs, but all of our programs. And it's really our alumni who are incredible fans and supporters of our programs that really make a difference. And that means a lot to our students, that alumni come back and invest and support them. Alumni are also really incredibly important to our philanthropy and the donations that our alumni make towards scholarships, towards our programs, towards our athletic programs, make a world of difference. And our students notice that, and they know that you're investing, our alumni folks are investing in them and their programs. So alumni mean a lot to us. And we know that we couldn't do what we do without alumni support. So we're grateful for the fact that we can continue to engage with our alumni, even though it's been really hard during the time of COVID and trying to be engaged. But our Alumni Association did some virtual pre-launch parties for tournaments, and they found creative ways to engage our alumni. So we just appreciate everyone hanging in there with us this year through COVID, staying connected with us as Huskies, because it makes a difference. It makes us a better university, and our students really appreciate the support that they get from alumni. So I want to shout out and say thanks to all the alumni and for everything they do for us. It really makes a difference. And that's why we're proud to say, go Huskies, because our alumni are behind us and helping us every step of the way. So thank you.
Well, President Wacker, we thank you so much for joining us here on Husky Faceoff. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Now, Huskies fans, it's time for our first giveaway of the evening, and all you need to do, it's simple. Go to the SCSU men's hockey Twitter page, follow them, interact with their giveaway tweet to be entered for your chance to win some cool SCS gear. It's as easy as 3 clicks, and boom, you're in. Enter before it's too late. Now let's take a deeper look into Boston University as we gear up for the first round of the NCAA tournament. The Huskies, it's their first round opponent, somebody they haven't played in quite some time. The Terriers went 10-4-1 while finishing second in the Hockey East Conference this year. BU has managed a .333 goals per game average while holding their opponents to just an impressive 2.6. The Terriers also boost a strong penalty kill unit this season, coming in at 84%. Now, one of the main keys of the game for the Huskies is to stay out of the penalty box and play solid 5-on-5 hockey. This team's strengths are speed and resilience, and they are able to capitalize on their opportunities most when they can wear teams down during even strength play. Playing disciplined hockey will bode well for St. Cloud State heading into the first round of the regional tournament. That's coming up against Boston University in a couple of minutes. Now, another thing to keep an eye out for is the usage of the typical third line for St. Cloud State. The third line is young, but they play like seasoned vets. Sophomore Zach Okabe and Yami Kronola and freshman Vietti Miettinen have been dominant for St. Cloud State this season, combining for 22 goals and 30 assists. In the NCHC playoffs, they recorded 6 points in the 3 games as well. The youth within the line, that helps bring some life to the bench and success on the ice. You can continue to see them buzz throughout this upcoming NCAA tournament. And again, another key for St. Cloud State is to get into the dirty areas and fight for hard-earned goals like they've done all season long. Our own Joey Erickson has more on how they find motivation to pile up these greasy goals.
A grease pan can be a common item found in your kitchen, but it can also be seen within the walls of the Husky locker room as a symbol of motivation.
I wanted to try to come up with a term that would better explain how to get to the hard areas. We talked about how to get numbers and bodies to the hard areas. And the only thing I could come up with was grease pan. I brought that here with the guys and said, hey, if we want to start to go score some more hard area goals, we got to get to the grease pan. So every grease pan goal that we get, we keep the puck and put it in the pan.
Though the pan does not travel with the team, I can assure you Brett Larson's squad hopes to return home with plenty of pucks etched with numbers.
You got to be there if you want to have a good net front presence or just win any games in this league. I mean, there's a lot of goals that are scored around the net, and that's the way it's gonna be throughout this tournament, I think.
Getting Greasy in front, just getting pucks to the net, having bodies there. I mean, it's playoff time, and those a lot of time, that's how you're going to score goals. So I think that's going to be a big key for us. We've been talking about that the second half of the year, and we've been doing better, getting in front of the net and being less perimeter and more, I guess you could say, Greasy in front of the net.
How do you score Greasy goals? Well, Yami Kronola has a few. Here's his recipe.
We got to beat those one-on-ones. We got to get in front of the net. You know, even a good goalie can't stop a grease pan goal.
Now, there are a lot of talented teams and players to watch for in this year's tournament, but for the first time ever, all 5 Minnesota teams have made the cut. We are now joined by Nick Speliopoulos with more details. Nick, over to you.
Thanks, Sam. Well, the state of Minnesota is commonly regarded to as the state of hockey, and that certainly rings true because for the first time in NCAA history, all 5 Division I Minnesota teams have made the NCAA tournament. Looking at the whole field of Minnesotan teams, St. Cloud State is making their 15th overall appearance, still chasing after that national championship title. Duluth looking for their 3rd in a row, making their 14th all-time appearance, but the 6th season in a row they've made the tournament. Minnesota State makes an entrance for the 7th time in their program history, and the Beavers of Bemidji State make their tournament appearance after an 11-year absence. And finally, the Minnesota Gophers making their 38th all-time appearance in school history, but the first time under head coach Bob Motzko, who is in his 3rd year at the helm. This weekend is shaping up to be a great weekend of college hockey across the country as St. Cloud State chases after their 2nd Frozen Four appearance in school history. Sam, back to you.
Hey, thanks, Nick, a lot. We appreciate it. 5 Minnesota teams, all with the chance at the national title. The Huskies being one of them. We'll be back with more on Husky Faceoff coming up after this.
Let me catch you up on the St. Cloud State wrestling team. The Huskies were back-to-back national champions in 2015 and 2016. In 2017, they came up a bit short. But they would bounce back with national titles in 2018 and 2019. 2020 rolls around. The Huskies go a perfect 16-0 and took first place at the Super Regional in Sioux Falls, now favored to win another national championship.
Yeah, last year was crazy. I mean, we were down there and it got canceled.
March 12th, 2020, the day that shook the sports world. The COVID-19 pandemic canceling the season. 2021, the pandemic still ongoing. The Huskies come into a season full of adversity and uncertainty.
Just overcoming all the adversity this year with all the COVID and tests and whatnot, and just the not knowing and stuff like that, so finally getting to compete.
I think it's what made this team different was just how they were able to handle adversity. We were, most teams and programs are in any other year hit with a little bit of adversity a couple, 2 or 3 times during the year. We were hit with it, if not every week, every other week. And I've never seen a team be able to handle adversity like this one.
They lived a different lifestyle. They had to be more conservative with what they were going to do, socially and stuff like that outside of wrestling to stay consistent and show that they were willing to make sacrifices to make sure that this team got to compete.
And compete they did. going 5-0 in a condensed season, punching their ticket to another NCAA tournament, but this time as underdogs.
Being that we only brought 8 qualifiers versus Nebraska Kearney's 10, I mean, it was almost, when you look at everything on paper, we had to be almost flawless in order to win that tournament.
You just kind of focus on your own match. Your teammates will pick you up when you fall down, so it's all about just going out there, trying your best, giving everything you got, and just really trying to get your job done.
The job got done. The Huskies clawed their way through the pandemic and the competition, earning their 5th title in 7 seasons.
With all the different changes going on and disruptions, they were still able to focus and continue their energy and their thought pattern heading in the right direction. And you just got to give it to these guys.
And the biggest obstacle was defeating the COVID-19, with all the testing and with all the policies and the masking and the training and just dealing with all that. Just to be able to have a tournament was one thing. And then for our guys to be able to go there and compete at the level they did was just unbelievable.
One of the things that these guys will always be remembered for is how they handled adversity. And I think one of the biggest things that they'll take from this year is, hey, I was able to handle that pandemic back in 2020, 21. I can handle anything in my life.
Now, all of the success could not be brought into the university without the support of our alumni, so we thank them for their continued efforts towards the university and its athletics, and the Alumni Foundation for powering Husky Faceoff this evening. It's time for another giveaway as we gear up for St. Cloud and Boston in the opening game of the Albany Regional. Reminder, all you need to do to enter is go to the SCSU Men's Hockey Twitter page. Make sure you are a follower and interact with their latest tweet for your chance to win some pretty cool St. Cloud State gear.
Hello everyone and welcome into another episode of Off the Ice, and we have a very special guest today. Joining me is hockey analyst and former All-American Pat Micheletti. Pat, thanks for joining us today.
Rachel, it's always great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
The fact that Notre Dame has withdrawn their position in the NCAA tournament, so what does that kind of mean for the region and for St. Cloud State as well?
I don't think it's good for college hockey. It's very unfortunate. My thought process was, why not have your bubble teams, your 17 and 18, continue to practice, be on alert, be ready, just in case something like this might happen. The whole situation is very unfortunate.
And taking a look specifically at Boston University and St. Cloud State, they haven't seen each other since March of 2000. So what kind of a game would you expect from these two teams?
When they play at a high level and they are focused and ready and on their game, they can play with anybody in the country. And that's anybody. If we see that type of consistency, I'm not worried about Boston University.
It's been the talk all week that all 5 Minnesota teams had made the tournament initially. And to piggyback off that, all 5 coaches of those teams are from Minnesota. So what would you say Herb Brooks would think of a situation like this? And what does it mean for the state of hockey?
His dream, this is what he envisioned. And all of those guys that are coaching today, Bob Motzko, Mike Hastings, Tom Serratori, all had a connection with Herb Brooks. Just goes to show how good a state we have for hockey.
So if it comes down to it in the Frozen Four, Gophers versus St. Cloud, who are you going to cheer for?
Oh boy, here's I knew that was coming, Rachel. Listen, I played there. I want 4 teams in the Frozen Four from Minnesota. It would be one heck of a game, I can tell you that. And I'll leave it right there.
Well, Pat, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure chatting with you.
You too, Rachel. Thank you for having me.
And that wraps it up here for Off the Ice with Rachel Herzog, and we'll see you guys next time.
The clock keeps ticking down towards the anticipated puck drop for SCSU's first game in the regional tournament located in Albany, New York. Your Huskies are preparing for battle against the Boston Terriers. Now, winner's going to move on and keep their season alive, and the loser has to pack their bags and go on home. Now, we gave you the scouting report for the Terriers earlier, but let's circle back to it as we get closer to puck drop. After finishing second in the Hockey East and falling short in the conference tournament, Boston looks to jump out early on St. Cloud State, and with the help of great goaltending to ensure a victory against St. Cloud. BU scores .333 goals per game, and a combined save percentage of .922 is the recipe for success if you're Boston. They have also been good away from their own barn with a record of 6-1-1, so the Terriers will have no issue traveling to a neutral site for their matchup against the Huskies coming up in a matter of moments. St. Cloud State will trot out one of their senior leaders, David Rennick, for the opening round. Rennick's dynamic style has been the backbone for the Huskies all year. This past season, he has recorded 14 wins and a .906 save percentage and broke the school record for most career shutouts. His leadership between the pipes have helped lead the Huskies to another NCAA tournament bid. Now the Huskies will need David Rennick and company to right the ship in opening rounds of regional play. I won't go back into much detail about what happened because I think we're all familiar with what happened the last two times. But this year is as best as any to change history for St. Cloud State.
You know what? It's ancient history, to be honest. It's weird too. I think COVID, in a strange way, it feels like life was pre-COVID and post-COVID, and that seems like light years ago to me. It doesn't have anything to do with this team. It's about this group of guys in the room and what they want to accomplish, and to be honest, they want to blaze their own trail, and that's our job to go out there and do that. It's huge. The first game can be the hardest, and everybody knows that's been in the tournament for anybody. And I think for us, we've tried to narrow the focus. It's a 2-game win streak right now. We're looking for the 2-game win streak to get you to the dance, and if you get to the dance, then you've got a chance. So for us, the biggest thing and the biggest focus all week, though, every day has been looking at a part of our game and trying to make sure we're prepared and go in there and play Husky hockey from the drop of the puck for 60 minutes. We felt like we played Husky hockey for 55 minutes the other night against North Dakota, but we know we'll need all 60 against BU.
That'll do it for this NCAA tournament edition of Husky Faceoff, powered by the SCSU Alumni Association. You can find the Huskies and the Terriers on ESPN News, so be sure to head over there now. And remember, go Huskies.
It's always your goal every year to keep playing. Playoffs really important. Whatever's best for us to just be able to play, then let's get it done. Going in there with an opportunity to keep competing for the title is still a great opportunity.
Roll it out, now a race for it. Cronulla coming in short-handed, bouncing puck.
Oh,
Walks
he got
it.
it.
He scores!